My name is Sam Weber, and I illustrated Dune for the Folio Society. I was a huge fan of Dune, and when Sherry first approached me to illustrate it, I just remember being so thrilled. I can't remember exactly what I said, but yes, I mean, of course, I wanted to illustrate Dune. That was a dream job. Illustrating Dune was a frightening undertaking. I mean, there have been these amazing visual representations. I mean, Mobius did those fantastic drawings. There was a film, and then, of course, all sorts of other artists' interpretations, all of which I tried to kind of put out of my head when I was working on the project. I wanted to be true to the text. I didn't want to create anything that contradicted it, but I mean, as with all books, there's plenty of leeway between the lines to insert a little bit of yourself. And I'm a realistic artist, so I work with a lot of reference. I build maquettes, I hire models, I make costumes and all that sort of thing. For me, the book was, I mean, it was a lot about the amazing set pieces, the desert and the Fremen caverns and all that sort of wonderful stuff, the Guild starships. But at the end, I mean, what sort of held me in the story were the people, the characters, the wonderful heroes and the villains. And that really just ended up being what the images were about, essentially a collection of portraits in a lot of ways. I think the Dune paintings were taking me about a week and a half each. I think this one took 2 weeks, probably. It was funny, actually. I remember having her in the studio and sort of describing what it was that I wanted for her to do. And she's a really fantastic model, so she was super down with making all these weird faces. But anyways, it's just a composite of a bunch of photographs that I had that I put together into a composition.
So starting off with sketches, moving on to finding a model.
Yeah.
Then moving on to maybe working it up digitally, and then going back to
redrawing it, and then putting it onto the final board, and then painting it. That's probably 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more for something like this. And then some of the smaller ones, like the Baron Harkonnen portrait, much less time. And that was more about finding the right model. On the slipcase, I wanted to address the desert, I think, in some way. I mean, describing the dunes. And then that distortion, which I mean, I think doubled as the sandworms distortions of the desert, but also the distortions of the time that happen when Paul takes the elixir of life. The exciting thing about working on the folio bindings is, I mean, not only are they these sort of iconic objects that collectors and fans of the Folio Society treasure, but they're made kind of in a unique way, at least for me. Using the blocking inks requires broader shapes, bigger lines, and also even just the physical materials the bindings are printed on require kind of a different approach. It's thrilling and exciting to kind of be pushed out of my comfort zone, but it's also incredibly challenging sometimes to try to figure out how to turn my vocabulary into something that's going to work on a binding. The funny thing about the folio books is that I think for the most part, the audience is already a fan of the book, probably. And so your job is not to so much convince someone that this book is worthy of being read, but to sort of convince someone that your vision is worthy of the book, which is a very different experience. Arguably a little more stressful, perhaps. I love science fiction. I've always believed deeply in its ability to say profound, interesting things, and I'm so proud of what it is that I did for Dune. I mean, it really was just this culmination of a setting and a story that meant a lot to me, and then this work that I spent so much time working on.